Here I'm with my good friend Improv. Improv has released a single about getting Kennedy elected for president, overcoming some of the challenges we face in this country. And yeah, I just wanted to sit down with him and talk about those challenges and why Kennedy's the man for this moment. Welcome, Improv. How you feeling today?
Feeling good, man. I was just listening to one of Kennedy's interviews he did with Roseanne Barr. Um, I love listening to that guy talk. I learn so much every time he speaks, and just every time I do, I'm just like, man, this guy needs to get into office. We got to whatever I can do to help him get there. Like, let's get him in. So,
Yeah, that's right. He's like I describe him to people like he's like your favorite college professor that way. He'll
mm-hmm.
get into the nuance of these issues and really break it down. And a lot of times he's explaining, exactly how he's already been fighting on these issues and getting his victories as a lawyer already. So, yeah, it's great to have those solutions there outlined. Man, I really dig your song. It starts off. People ask me, what I like about Kennedy, and it's like he's bringing out the better me. I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that right. And yeah, it's just such a great song there. And yeah, that's my hope is that people can wake up and see, exactly what he's offering. I think we're so asleep with this two-party system. Everybody just used to the status quo. And to my mind, these guys, they represent the worst of the worst kind of corporate evils and what's wrong with our country. And then we've
Mm-hmm.
got Kennedy on the other side, and he's the guy who's been standing up to these evils. So I wanted to ask you what is it about, the challenges we face that you think are the biggest that you think Kennedy addresses so well for us?
Man, I think one of the biggest. I have two. The first one being corporate capture of our government by big corporations. I think it's almost mind blowing to think how we even got to this point where literally just the most whoever has the most money and the most influence just runs everything. Um, and I think that's a major issue with, and that also kind of gets into my next one, which is the all the poisons that are being put into our bodies through the water and the food. Um, and it goes back to that our regulating agencies aren't doing their job because they're captured by the industries that they're supposed to be regulating. And Kennedy's the only person that I see even talking about it at all, which is how, like you just said, he's the polar opposite of everyone else. They want to label him as like all these things and position themselves as, oh, I'm going to save America. If this person gets elected, America's going to go into communism or fascism, and I'm the savior. But they're not actually addressing any of the issues that got us into this place in the first place. Um, so yeah, I think I know that Kennedy can get the job done because, like you mentioned, he's been doing it for years. He's been going after these corporations, and he's really waking people up. Like whether or not he wins in November, which I believe that he has a genuine chance to win, but whether or not that happens, like he has woken up tens of millions of people to what's actually going on. Myself being one of them, and there's no going back from that knowledge.
Yeah, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly it. This corrupt merger of the state and corporate power, all the power of government, and then on behalf of these big institutions, comes to mind, big pharma, the big Affordable Care Act, or so-called Obamacare, that was written by, the industry interests, written by big pharma.
Mm.
And then you talk about these poisons in our food and water. They vertically integrated this to now where, Bayer, big pharma, they own Monsanto, the poisons that are in our food. So, you
Really?
know, it's just crazy. And nobody's talking about these issues. Meanwhile, we got dozens of diseases going parabolic and, everything, the worst of the worst, these serious conditions, autism, Alzheimer's, dementia, cancers, autoimmune diseases, celiac, obesity, and nobody's talking about this. If they do mention healthcare, it's like Kennedy says, you're just moving the chairs around on the Titanic while it's sinking.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this toxicity in the food, it's crazy. you compare us to Europe, like Kennedy says, there's 1,000 chemicals banned in Europe that we allow in our agriculture, and we see the difference. I point out to people, we're living 40 years less than our European friends, and I'm sorry, we're living 5 and 6 years less than our European friends. And 40 years ago, we used to live just as long as them. What's the difference? It's these chemicals, and yeah, we got to do something. This is just of the utmost importance. Everything's on the line as far as us and our loved ones, and
Mhm.
it's just wild that these wedge issues that they bring up can be so divisive and get people so polarized when we have real serious issues that we're not handling, not even talking about.
Yeah, it's almost like, and people argue for, it's like Stockholm syndrome, you know? They will argue, they say, I know that the two-party system is messed up, but this is the biggest election of our lifetime. We have to vote for this person not to be in. It's just lesser of two evils all the time. But again, not addressing any of the real issues. I watched a presentation by Del Bigtree about the vaccines and the lack of safety testing the other day, and like I was just blown away. Like this is actually going on in our country. It blows my mind that, like I said, that we're here in this at this point in time with all the issues that we have, and that the two major parties are just yelling at each other over, like you said, these wedge issues that they matter, but they don't matter existentially.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's you talk about the safety testing, it's just incredible. When it comes to vaccines, it's like, I had no idea how bad this is. When I was born in 82, they gave me 3 vaccines. Now they're giving the kids 17 vaccines. But yet, people want to use this idea like, oh, well, hey, what are we going to do without vaccines? It's like, hey, guys, we just want real safety science on all these new vaccines, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody made a great point. When you give an infant something new to eat, you make sure it's one ingredient at a time. It's not even cinnamon apples, it's apples. And
Mm-hmm.
then they take the apples, then okay, cinnamon apples. Right now they're giving a 1 day old a new shot. It's an STD for hepatitis B, to prevent that for a 1 day old, and it's got 12 different toxins in it, and there's not that adequate safety testing that you would see from every other, whether it's a headache pill or an antacid, and you're exactly right, and it's just the power of the media propaganda to control the narrative and to keep us away from these issues that are so important. It's really incredible.
Yeah,
And,
they're really
uh,
good at it.
go ahead, Dylan.
Now I would just say they're really good at that. They I almost have to admire the the cohesive propaganda that they've put together to just completely get people to buy into their own capture, their own slavery. Um, if it wasn't so evil, I would admire it, but it's pretty bad. So I can't quite get there.
It is so bad, it reminds me of like going back to when we talked about the Cold War, way back when they were so concerned about the propaganda from the other side, just in real subtle ways of convincing their side of communism. It's like, oh, hey, are they making small inferences to communism? Well, they've mastered this art to where what really stuns me and is unbelievable is this idea that they've weaponized this word conspiracy theorist.
Mm,
We've got conspiracy after conspiracy or scandal after scandal from governments and from corporations that are proved true again and again. But then somehow, they gaslight us. They tell us, well, you're crazy if you think that those same institutions are up to something else. And yeah, you put it well there. That it's impressive. It really is. And yeah, it's great to see people waking up. And I love what you said. Tens of millions of people waking up. And something Kennedy said is, when people wake up, they don't often go back to sleep. They don't often go back the other way. And
mm.
yeah, I appreciate so much what you're doing with your song and your lyrics. Are you considering doing another song for Kennedy to help get the word out?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm working on. It's kind of still in the idea stage, but I've definitely got more songs that I would like to do. Um, Really, just I want to make a couple different styles, like probably all hip hop, but just talking about different topics. There's so many things that we can be talking about. We've already covered a number of them here, and um, I think my first song was pretty general. Just trying to get as much as I could in, and I'd like to kind of zero in on a couple different topics and just see which one pops. Because I think music is a really powerful way to get a message across, uh, and really get it into people's subconscious, in a way that just speaking doesn't always do. So yeah, I got some stuff that I'm working on for sure. I'm excited to drop
It's
it.
catchy. It's catchy too. Yeah, yeah. The jingles that get stuck in your head. This whole country has brainworms if he doesn't win. That was one that
It's one of
that
my
stuck
favorite
in
lines
my
of yours for sure.
head. But yeah, we've got to get it together. And you're right, getting the word out. I think that's the big struggle. Is that's the challenge that we face. Is we've got the truth on our side. This guy's right as rain on all these issues, but the other side is propaganda, this smear machine, and yeah, it's convinced so many people not even to give them a fair listen. And it's like, geez, if anybody deserves a fair listen, it's like, isn't it the guy who lost his uncle? Do it for the nephew of JFK, do it for the son of RFK, and this guy who's done more for the environment, more for I think more for the environment here in America than maybe anyone in American history.
Mm.
And standing up against these bad guys, it's just it's impressive, and I think so many people shrink back from that, and this guy is just doubling down against the worst of the worst corporate evils. You know, yeah, I love your song, and I love what you're doing so much for getting that word out in that way, because I think that is the way we win is just waking people up. I love inviting people to check out that video at whoisbobbykennedy.com. It's just half an hour long, and a lot of people wake up when they see that. I wanted to ask you about friends or family that you've seen come around, and what you've seen as effective, or what issue brought them around.
That's a good question. Um, I think a big one is the corporate capture. Because it's something that uh, it's so pervasive in our lives. It affects us in so many different ways. Um, and really, it's just getting people to open their minds and listen to what Bobby has to say. It's rare that somebody can listen to him for 30 minutes or an hour and still believe all the nonsense propaganda that the media puts out about him. It's like if you just hear this guy talk, and it's not just a selective soundbite that's been taken out of context, you realize like, oh, this guy's telling the truth. And that's why they don't want to let him on the debate stage, because they know it'd be game over. That's why most of the mainstream media won't play him or give him a real interview, because they know that if people hear him, like his conversion rate is super high. Um, and it's been really cool. I'm staying with my mom right now for the couple weeks that I'm in Arizona. And I had told her about Kennedy when I first got on the campaign trail, and she was like kind of new to him. And now just to see how much she loves this guy, she's telling all her friends, I'm voting for Kennedy. She's on Facebook posting about him. And that it seems to be a pretty common thing. Like once you get bit by the Kennedy worm, like you're really passionate about it. And that's one thing that I love to see, on X, this big Kennedy community coming together, and everybody's just talking about Kennedy all day. There's spaces about Kennedy. I know you're really involved in Kennedy spaces, and you're doing this podcast. And man, once you see the truth and you see what's possible, uh, it's tough to not just proclaim that at any opportunity. And I think that's one of the things that really inspires me about this movement is, man, we have so many people's creativity going into this in a way that uh, I don't think the other campaigns have, because they don't have that crucial element on their side of the truth.
That's exactly it. You nailed it. Yeah, so many people are so excited about this campaign, this movement. You know, the everything's on the line. The food, the war machine, the tyranny, and you're right. You just listen to Kennedy speak about it, and you're like, yeah, oh, wow, is that true? It's like you learn something every time. Even us who know so many things about these issues, it's like incredible depth of knowledge that this guy's sharing. So, well, thank you for sitting down with me today. Where can people find you, and where can we look out for your latest work?
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media at Improv Music. It's improv with a one. And then on streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, whatever, as just improv. So
Well, you were the man. Yeah, I've gone through your catalog there, and it's great stuff. And yeah, I think everybody's blessed by it, and we'll look forward to seeing some more from you. So appreciate you, and yeah, let's take back our country.
yeah, let's take it back, man. Kennedy 24.
All right, all right.